The costume of my artist is quite plain, reflecting the stripped-back nature of the song. However, she is dressed in a fairly glamorous way. Her hair and makeup have been specifically designed to represent her as a feminine, inspiring woman and enhance her inspirational traits. Therefore, according to the uses and gratifications theory, audiences will use the text as a form of reassurance and to gratify their sense of personal identity, whilst also admiring her strength. Inspiration came from the dressing and representation of my artist after completing a mood board demonstrating how artists tend to be represented in existing texts. The younger characters in my film are dressed in clothes representative of their age and backgrounds. This is particularly significant to younger members of the audience, who may find it easy to relate to the characters, and therefore sympathise with them more during their misfortunes. The sensible costume of the older couple has been intended to represent them as honest, practical parents, similarly highlighting their hardships and allowing many audience members to relate to them. Their warm dress is something which I took inspiration from the music video My Kind of Love, one of my inspirational texts. During the scene in the bedroom, narrative 1, a dark, dull setting was intentionally created to reflect the mood of the character and highlight the use of screens, which I feel works particularly well. However, in the couple's home, narrative 2, the lighting was far too dull and created problems at the editing stage, as it was often difficult to make out the facial expressions of the artist. I do feel, however, that once a saturation effect was applied at the editing stage, the issue was not quite as prominent. The performance of the artist throughout her miming section I am particularly pleased with. It is passionate and emotional, just as I intended. Ideas for such a performance initially derived from that of Alexandra Burke's in one of my inspirational texts. The storylines in each of the narratives are very basic, in order for audience members to easily follow them and make sense of the clear links between each narrative and the lyrics of the song. Key to this song, which is emotional, lyrical and instrumental nature, is perhaps overly emotional acting of the characters, allowing audiences to sympathise with each of them and draw a greater sense of meaning from the song. Emphasis on the woman's face in narrative 2 is an example where the facial expression of the artist is particularly important in understanding her frame of mind and situation. Blank, reflective and upset. Here, the shot has been inspired by the car scenes found in one of my inspirational texts, by Emily Sandé, whereby emphasis on the pretty woman's face also represents her feelings and evokes sympathy. The locations in all three of my narratives are very stereotypically British, intended to reflect the background of their characters and allow audience members to relate to them, once again reinforcing their sympathy viewers feel towards them and all gratifying their sense of personal identity. The hospital setting is of particular significance and was very difficult to film, but I feel is very effective in representing the situation of many ill people, as well as the modern day health service which most viewers will have had an experience with. The inspiration for such a setting, in fact, such a storyline, derived from Emily Sandé's My Kind of Love, which had a similar, solemn tone and was based in a hospital setting. The forest setting, I feel, is important in telling of the characters' feelings, alone, lost, and in need of somewhere to hide. Although forests are typically found in the likes of horror films, many can be found in existing music videos, such as Leona Lewis's Run, and adds to the atmosphere of the video. The houses of each character is of a distinctly different nature and includes different colour schemes to avoid audience members getting confused about which storyline is on screen at any one moment in time. I feel that the different houses, a number of locations, 11 in total, all combine to create a particularly effective montage effect, skipping through important events in a crucial day of each character's life, similar to that in Katy Perry's Firework. The fact that the camera is static in the shots of the artist allows viewers to focus on the facial expressions, emotions and singing of Danielle. This arguably creates quite an uncomfortable effect, as they aren't allowed to take a break from her emotional face, something which I took inspiration from Alexandra Burke's video. This could be representative of how the characters in the video cannot escape their sad situations either. The use of the tripod and dolly to create movement during a few of my shots I feel are particularly effective. For example, the dolly in the street scene with the young boy allows emphasis to be placed on his frame of mind and may prompt audiences to think about his situation as we literally follow his journey. However, the dolly did cause me some problems as the path was rather uneven and the shots were slightly shaky. I regularly use pans and tilts to create the fast-paced effect of the narratives, despite the fact that actually the editing between each shot is quite slow. On few occasions during my video, I intended to use shaky camera work to create an unsettled tone and reflect the characters' frames of mind. This is similarly done in Katy Perry's Firework and Leona Lewis's Happy. However, Once or twice I had shaky shots that were not intended, which had to be removed or altered in the editing process. The editing throughout my video mainly consists of plain cuts, typical of a music video. However, a few transitions, such as the opening one, are used, which I worry are not quite as eventually as I would have liked. The pace of my editing is very conventional in that it assumes the pace of the song, which, as outlined by Goodwin's music video theory, is a typical trait. The pace is also something which was inspired by Jason Mraz's I Will Give Up video, which became an inspiration to me at the later stages of the planning and production phase. Other aspects of my video which became important to me at the editing stage is the colour of the images, which, after much deliberation, I decided would take a slightly less saturated and half black and white style tone. This is in keeping with the upset nature and tone of the song. The fading technique I used on a few occasions, for example at the opening of the video, adds quite a reflective, mysterious tone, which, although not that conventional, I feel was in keeping with the style of the video as a whole and quite original. The use of Photoshop during the production of my print tasks proved particularly challenging for me, and given my lack of experience, I am quite pleased with my work. The software enabled me to alter saturation, add texts, brush up on marks, and quickly and effectively use a range of tools to create my print tasks in a high resolution. Perhaps one of the most difficult aspects of the production of my print work was to understand the concept of font, something which I found only possible to work out by playing around with different styles in the context of the photographs and the general structure of my work. The wide font represents purity, whilst the bold, brush style is intended to represent the fun nature of the artist who has produced the album. I am particularly happy with the font of the name of the album, as I feel it reflects quite a sophisticated style and almost gives the impression that the artist herself has scrolled it. The original shots that I was going to use on my auxiliary tasks were inspired by the cover of Adele's 21 album, whereby the artist is looking down at the floor in quite a sad manner. Other texts also inspired me to include the artist on the front. However, it was ultimately decided that it would be better to take a different route and opt for a more abstract image. My biggest worry here is that they do not meet the expectations of the audience. This is because I based a lot of my audience research around the idea that the artist would be included on the CD cover, and a lot of my research into existing texts was done on the same basis. So I will be interested to learn from my audience feedback how much of an issue they deem that. Despite the fact that my auxiliary tasks are of a totally different style and nature to my music video, I feel like that the themes presented to need to implicitly link them. Ideas of freedom, hope and verisimilitude can be found in each, something which I hope ties the two together. Although I am not entirely positive that the print and video elements of my project are so obviously linked, I do feel that the ties between the CD cover and the poster advertisement are particularly strong and beneficial to the production package as a whole. The same fonts, colours and even image is used, yet because the CD cover focuses in on one frame within the frame, they are also distinctly different. Some viewers may even notice that, although the image on the poster seems beautiful, the image on the back of the CD cover is in fact an extract from that very same photograph. Therefore, this is reflective of some of the messages within the song, and those that the artist generally represents. Sometimes there can be dark, even in the happiest and lightest of situations, and vice versa. Overall, despite the sudden turnaround with my print work, I am very happy with the way that this and the music video ties together to create a conventional, hopefully powerful set of media text.